June again, and that means it's time for the 33rd annual Race Across America and the 7th year for the Race Across the West. Today, cyclists from over 20 countries around the world are gathering in Oceanside, California, preparing for tomorrow's start. Let's get this started. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Leah Garcia, and I will be your host for the 2014 Race Across America. I've got 20 years of competitive mountain biking experience. I was a former pro racer, and I've got a handful of tours under my belt, those 10-day stage races. I'm the novice here today, and I'm joined by my co-host, George Thomas from Boulder, Colorado. George has been here at RAAM as a solo, two-person, four-person, tandem. You got a couple of top of the podiums underneath your belt as well. What is it that draws you in? And I guess, what are you doing again this year?
This was a dream for me to come out and do Race Across America really ever since I started cycling way back in '84. And somebody called me a legend today, which just makes me feel old. I mean, what a title to earn and still be out here. But it's become such a family, and it's such a welcoming sport, even when it's your first race. And it was just something that grabbed me. I love the competitiveness of it, but at the same time, we're so supportive of each other. You're out there racing as hard as you can, around the clock. You know what the adrenaline's like from doing a race. 20 years of racing, but you know, it doesn't just go away after a few hours. It's constantly there, and you've got to work in your sleep, the logistics of being with a crew, all the planning that goes into this, and it's almost an empty feeling when it ends, because for about a year you've been emailing back and forth, working with the people that are going to be out here with you, and you bond so closely to the people that are in your crew, and you might not ever see them again, but for a week, 2 weeks, it's so powerful. And
they never leave your heart. I love that you said that the timing is right. We're just a day away from the start of RAAM, and what ends up happening today is all of the racers are coming in and getting prepared. 20+ countries are here. Jennifer Salazar from our Media One crew has been out shooting people who are in the midst of getting ready for what's about to transpire tomorrow. Let's take a look at her package.
Hey, Jen Salazar here in Oceanside at the starting line of Race Across America and Race Across the West.
Race Across the West is the beginning part of RAAM, which is Race Across America, and we're going to go from Oceanside, California to Durango, Colorado.
So the big question is why? Why do Race Across America cyclists attempt to ride 3,000 miles? Why do the Race Across the West cyclists attempt to ride 857 miles?
I am addicted to racing. I'm addicted to the RAAM and RAW race. I've done RAAM 3 times, and this will be my second RAW.
It's an interesting challenge. I like the idea of lots of unknown variables and having to face those and make decisions and stick to it and solve all the problems as you go.
It seems impossible. It's beyond anything I've ever done, anything I ever dreamed of doing, and therefore I have to knock it off the list.
The last time it was 10th place, and now our goal is the podium, so 1, 2, 3.
It's something I haven't done before, and my motto in life is I'd rather be sorry for something I did than for something I didn't do.
My first year in RAAM, I wanted to do it because I've wanted to do it since I was a kid, and I saw it on ABC Wide World of Sports. It's the ultimate race for any ultra rider.
It takes not only a lot of physical energy, but a lot of financial energy to get these cyclists on the road.
Coming from Florida and the expense of getting here in the first place, we're looking at about $25,000.
So I'd say that in terms of time, over the last several years, it's been 10 to 20 hours a week, and over the last year, more like 20 to 40 hours a week. And in terms of money, it's $20,000 to $40,000.
We don't have an RV, and we do it as inexpensively as we can. But it's over $10,000 to do a RAAM, and we hope to keep RAW at about $5,000.
Even though I'm just one person, it takes, well, we have a crew of 11, and it's going to take that many, I think, for us to actually make it from one side of the country to the other.
We're doing this crewless, and we're not real sure what it's going to take, but all of our shorter races have just meant a lot of sleep deprivation, drinking a lot of caffeine, and just trying really hard not to argue with each other. So in our case, we're doing 4-person. We've got 2 vehicles, and we're going to do it as 2 teams of 2. So the whole goal of this thing is to still be friends after it's all over, get everybody there safe and sound, and have a good time. We're on a bicycle. My goodness, this is a vacation, so let's have some fun too.
I'm Jen Salazar, and I'll have more from the road as the Race Across America and Race Across the West begins and continues.
Thanks, Jen. The big question many people have is, what is Race Across America? Well, the easy answer is it's a bicycle race that just happens to start in Oceanside, California, and goes across country to Annapolis, Maryland. Crosses 12 states. It has over 170,000 feet of elevation climb, and within all of those parameters, oh, and the fact that the clock doesn't stop, it's a continuous race. So between all of that, there's categories. George, what are those?
The race started out as 4 guys racing solo, and it grew in the early 90s to include 4-person teams, and there's men and women's division in both of those, and mixed. We also, in the late 90s, had 2 people go across, and that started my favorite division, which is the 2-person relay. Again, male-male, male-female, or a women's team. And then in the early 2000s, Jim Petrie, who directed the race for a while, started the corporate 8-person division. And that was for people who were all from the same company. And I think a light went off and they thought, this is a division that could really grow. And now 8-person has become one of the fixtures of RAAM, and very competitive.
So just to recap, we've got soloists, 2-person team, 4-person team, 8-person team in tandem, as well as recumbent. So we have a couple of recumbent bicycle racers
Correct.
as well. So between all of that, and you talked a little bit about the history, this is the 33rd year of RAAM, and as you mentioned, in 1982 there were 4 soloists that finished, and then we got this international field that came in. Now it's almost more well known all over the world than it is here in the United States. What do you think the appeal is in general to the international community?
I think the title, it's Racing Across America, and I think that just grasps people's imagination from Europe. And I mean, we have China, 20 countries this year. It is. I mean, America is so vast, and to come here and race across it on your bicycle is just, it's such a, it's so unique.
Well, we're not just talking about Race Across America, we're talking about another event, Race Across the West. George, this is something that's really caught on in the last 7 years. It ends in Durango, Colorado. Tell us a little bit about that.
So when RAAM originally started in '82, people saw it on Wide World of Sports, and the freaks came out of the woodwork. And the people who organized RAAM thought, we need to have people that can show that they have the skills and the talent to be able to do this crossing, so that people aren't going 50 miles and, oh my God. So out of that grew shorter races that eventually got longer and longer, and really have culminated with Race Across the West, which in its first couple of years went from Oceanside to Taos. And now they've shortened it a little bit to finish in Durango because it's a bigger community, and there's a lot more support for the event finishing there. This year has the biggest raw field in the history of the event, and so it's hyper competitive like we were talking about a little bit earlier, but again, there's just that sense of help and family that makes it really special. And something that's really appealed to me, I love working with the race, and they asked me to announce back in '09, and in '09 I did my first RAW, and when we finished, I announced the finish, announced the banquets, officiated to Annapolis, and then announced the finish and the banquets there. And I had so much fun doing that. I did it again in 2010, and then directed the race the next couple of years. And I'm back this year to race RAW again, and I'll announce at the finish, and then fly to Annapolis this time and announce at the end. And it's so fun for me to do that. I mean, talk about being involved with the race and really learning everything about it. I love the history of the event. I love the people that are here, really care about the racers. When someone DNFs, does not finish, it crushes me. I mean, it really, you get so emotional about this event because it's just consuming. And especially when you're out there by yourself, everybody goes through a point where they just feel like they cannot continue. And when you fight through that and show yourself that, prove to yourself that you can make it, it's really powerful.
Prior to rolling up to the start line for the RAAM and the RAW races, the competitors are in the midst of hustle and bustle trying to get ready, not just them, but with the crew. Zach Bador from our Media 2 has put together some information that you should take a look at.
As soon as the riders arrive, they come here to the start office. This is where they dot their I's and cross their T's.
What we do is try and kind of get them organized, explain what they need to do with the remaining time limit. There's probably about 8 items that we go through that we want them to do. We're looking for waivers. Each crew member, racer, driver will need a waiver. That's extremely important for insurance purposes. Proof of driver's licenses. We need things such as phone numbers, 2 phones that they'll have to have with them during the race that we can contact them. These are just some of the items that are part of the checklist.
Across the hall is the photo room where the teams can get portraits and take some group shots. The photographer here says he's enjoyed meeting the racers.
All the people are great. You get all sorts of different personalities, and it's a lot of fun to play around with them and things like that. The portraits here are kind of like yearbook mug shots. You know, it's nothing really fancy. So my main thing is just to get them positioned so that they look good themselves. Take a couple shots, you know, get a good expression, and make sure they look like themselves on the website.
The next step is inspection. Race officials are checking team bikes and vehicles to make sure they meet all the requirements. Their primary concern is safety.
When they come here in good physical condition, we want them to arrive in good physical condition, had a blast. How we do that is by keeping them safe. We have officials out there that help provide that safety and make sure everybody's abiding by the traffic laws like they're supposed to, and the race rules as well. For instance, this bike here that we're looking at for reflectivity on the bike. They got to have lights, front and rear tail lights. As you see, excuse me here, as you see right here, we've got some reflectivity requirements that we're looking for to help the riders be safe and be seen out there in all conditions of lighting.
The inspectors have a long list of items they're looking for.
Looking for the reflective tape on the bikes, looking for making sure all the headlights are working, tail lights are working, making sure everything's safe and in good order, and making sure all the signs are on the cars. Everyone's been passing, and those that need a few things, they put them right on.
Today was all about prepping for the race, and with these steps complete, the racers are just about ready to leave the Pacific Ocean behind and hit the road. For Race Across America, I'm Zach Badorf.
Thanks, Zach, for the information on the pre-race process that goes into this. We also had a couple of press conferences today for both RAAM and for RAW, and at the conference we had quite a few people ask the question, what does RAAM raise money for? The answer is it doesn't raise money. What it does is it provides an opportunity for soloists and team racers to raise awareness and charitable donations for a variety of causes. This year, one of the soloists, Joe Barr, was at the press conference, and listen to what he's raising money for and awareness.
That's one of the wonderful things about RAAM, is that so many of the racers and teams use it as a means of raising awareness or raising funds. There's just been millions of dollars raised through this event in its history.
Yeah. Well, we're going during the event. We're actually we have 12 children nominated. There's 12 days of RAAM, and each day I don't know who the families are. They are here in the U.S. somewhere, and I'm going to connect with the family each day in the race and speak to the child, see how their day was. And we're going to fundraise for that child for that day. The Cancer Fund for the Children, which his charity actually does a functional job for, in that they give them digital connection when they're homebound or isolated to their schools, so they can be in contact with their school friends, or they can get their actual written homework back and they can continue with their exams or whatever.
Stories like that make watching and participating in RAAM and RAW that much more important. How can you get involved? We're going to make it super easy for you. The best way is for you to log on to your website at ridefarther.com. That's father with an R. That's going to be the easiest way to get there. You can also follow us on Facebook at Race Across America. You can follow us Race Across the West, and you can also follow us on Twitter at RAAM Races. You can follow me at Leah Garcia TV. George, what about you?
Oh,
where should
we're
we
going
follow
to be
you?
putting Facebook posts all over the place. My teammate, our page, my page, my race page. I mean, it's going to be all over Facebook.
Which is very important, but one of the cool things this year also is that we have a GPS device on every single one of you, so we're going to get to follow you along as you're racing, and this is the part that for the people watching at home gets uber addictive, I promise you. So tell us about this new technology.
This has totally changed watching the race. When RAAM started, the original 4 guys basically got a map and 1 page of here's what you can and can't do. Go. Now we've got a route book and the website and everything, and the website got really amped up in the late 90s with Nick Gerlich, who was posting pictures and a daily recap, and he would do that 2 to 3 times a day. And you are so right, addictive is the word, because you are going to be going to your computer constantly to see what's going on. After Nick moved on and a new director came in, they brought up the web coverage even better. And again, though, I mean, you'd run to your computer every hour to check what's happened, and you couldn't tell where people were. Or say you're racing and I'm following you, and you went down for a sleep break, and you're just like, where is she? Where is she?
Right.
Where is
Why
she?
isn't she on there? Where is she at? But as we're getting closer, I mean, the funnel has started. It is in the afternoon. Tomorrow, midday, is the start for the solo racers as well as the women or the recumbents. Who's going off tomorrow?
So the raw teams, the 4-person teams, are going to go first at 1-minute intervals. Everybody is going to go at 1-minute interval, starting at noon. And they're going to be followed by the raw 2-person teams, and then the raw solos, and then the RAAM racers are going to come up with, of course, record holder Christoph Strasser starting last in the place of honor. Thinking about that track talus, not only does it bring more people to the website, but it allows you to go out, and it brings more live spectators to RAAM, because you can look at the website now and you know when you're going to be coming through. So it just makes it more fun. It builds more interest in the race on the web and in person. And when you think about the start of this race, there's just a mob, and it's the one place until 3,000 miles later when the racers actually have a lot of people screaming and cheering for them and giving the recognition that they're due. Because you're out in the middle of the desert, there's no population. There's no one out there except the other people you're competing against. And even then, you might be so far apart that you don't see each other. And again, that's one of the beauties of the race.
And the beauty is we will be bringing you coverage on a daily basis. You're going to hear all the storylines. You're going to get the drama. You're going to get the heart and soul of what makes this thing tick. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you soon.